Dr.MGR Educational and Research Institute, Madrawal, Chennai. Our vision is to provide a viable and credible learning experience for aspiring student community and inquisitive researchers who seek to expand the current body of knowledge pertaining to English language and literature across diverse fields of study. To enable the students to explore English language and literature, to be proficient in the use of the language in communication, and build knowledge for personal and societal development.
Hi, I'm Sounda, 2017 passed out. It's an immense pleasure for me to share my feelings and experience of the MGR University, especially for BA English department. I enjoyed all the 3 years where I studied in MGR in an English department. Literature almost changed my life, gave me creativity, it taught me how to think on my own, how to dream especially. And continuing in the same college, same university as a law student. It is the happiest moment in my life, and those who are going to choose a BA English literature are blessed. Thank you.
My name is Anil Verma.
My name is Darshni.
Hello everyone, this is Shruti.
I chose the English literature because this is the only way that you can explore about the society you live in, explore about yourself, learn more about the cultures, the literatures of the different countries.
So I'm working as a content writer in a legal firm now, and one of the main reasons of where I am in my life, I'm able to work as a content creator. I am able to have such knowledge because of the education I was provided in college.
They have a spectrum of opportunities available, starting from the webinars to seminars to various intercollegiate and various intracollegiate events. I get to experience all that, and it has been an incredible journey so far, and I can't wait to see what the future holds. Thank you.
A pleasant good afternoon to all the beautiful souls gathered here. I wish to bring in the words of Sir Rob Brown, which feels so apt to the topic we have all gathered to listen today. Sir Brown says, if you can speak, you can influence. If you can influence, you can change lives. With these inspiring words being said, I am happy to meet you all today for the national level e-workshop organized by the Department of English, Faculty of Humanities and Science of Dr. MGR Educational and Research Institute on the topic Speak to Create Your Future by one of the most prominent English language specialists, Mr. Arindam Sengupta, ESL teacher trainer, Directorate of School Education, Government of West Bengal. Mr. Arindam is also the alumnus of the Texas Intensive English Program, Austin, Texas, USA, and is a global professional member of TESOL International. The objective behind organizing this e-workshop is to enlighten participants on the many aspects of speaking skills and also to make them understand that good speaking creates a sure way to a bright future. Along with the eminent resource person of today in the virtual studio, we also have with us our dynamic additional registrar of VNS campus, Dr. D.B. Jabraj, and the friendly members of the Department of English, Assistant Professors Dr. Meena Rani, Mrs. Vishwapriya, Mrs. Rebecca, and Ms. R. Akshya, who is also the technical host of today's program. Dear participants, I am elated that you all have registered in large numbers to attend this program. Your keenness and lively participation inspire us to organize many useful programs as this. Before we head to the program, I would like to inform you all about the feedback link. The link will be posted in the YouTube chat box under a bright yellow title at the end of this session. You are all requested to click, fill, and submit the form before 6 p.m. Indian time today to instantly receive your certificates in your registered email. The form will be deactivated later after 6 p.m. Please make it a point to post questions related to the topic in the chat box at the end of the session. The resource person is such an able personality and will only be happy to clear all your doubts. Heading to the program now, I warmly invite Dr. Meena Rani, Assistant Professor, Department of English, to welcome the gathering. To you now, ma'am.
Thank you, Harshni ma'am. A warm good afternoon for all present here. I would like to begin by quoting the words of Ralph Waldo Emerson. Speech is power, speech is to persuade, to convert, to compel. It is used to bring another from his bad sense into your good sense. Yes, the power of speech is undeniable, but we seldom realize it. To compete in this complex job market and to navigate smoothly through a wide range of professional situations, acquiring communicative competence is imperative. Today, we all are virtually connected to enlighten our mind on the many aspects of speaking skills. At the outset, I would like to convey my gratitude to our Honorable Chairman, Dr. A.C. Shanmugam, and our Honorable President, Engineer A.C.S. Arun Kumar, for their constant support and encouragement. I consider it a great honor to welcome our vibrant Vice Chancellor, Dr. Geeta Lakshmi, who is always our source of inspiration and motivation. I am much pleased to welcome our Provost, Dr. G. Gopalakrishnan. I am delighted to welcome our ever-energetic Registrar, Dr. Palanivelu, who never fails to extend his support and guidance. I extend my warm welcome to our enthusiastic Additional Registrar, Dr. D.B. Jabaraj, who is always supportive in all the endeavors of the Department of English. We are heartily welcome you, sir. It's my privilege and pleasure to welcome our eminent resource person, Mr. Arindam Sengupta, ESL teacher and trainer, Directorate of School Education, Government of West Bengal. He is also the alumnus of Texas Intensive English Program, Austin, Texas, and global professional member of TESOL International. He has graciously consented to be the resource person of this national level e-workshop on Speak to Create Your Future. We are honored to have you here, sir. I am profusely elated to welcome the pillars of the Department of English, Dr. Pushkala, Senior Dean, Dr. Mary Thomas, Dean, Dr. Chandrashena Rajeshwaran, Head of the Department, Mrs. Julie Elizabeth, Deputy Head Academics, and Dr. Katpagavadivu, Deputy Head Administration. I feel extremely happy to welcome the faculty members and non-teaching staff of our department. Last but not least, I am pleased to extend my cheerful welcome to all the participants virtually connected from all parts of the country. Once again, I welcome you all. Over to you, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am, for your warm welcome to the gathering. I now cordially invite our young, inspiring, and dynamic personality, Dr. D.B. Jabraj, Additional Registrar, ENS Campus, to deliver the felicitation address. To you now, sir.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm really happy to welcome all of you, those who are presenting today. Particularly, I welcome the eminent sorry for the disturbance interruption. Yes, I'm very happy to welcome all of you, all the academics, particularly the good speaker, Mr. Arindam Sengupta, is an eminent scholar who knows the nuances of teaching English to speakers of other languages. He is from the Directorate of School Education, Government of West Bengal. It is indeed a great credit to the English department, in particular, and Dr.MGR University in general. We look for such collaboration with the academic persons and professional communities across the world to disseminate knowledge to all those who want to learn and improve. You may consider this as an open invitation to like-minded professional bodies and institutions across the world. We in Dr.MGR Education and Research Institute believe in identifying talents and potentials of academics across the world and offering opportunities to students and faculty for development and professional growth. The objective of this workshop is to explain to the students about the importance of communicating in English in this technology mediated teaching learning scenario, which demands sharp English language skills like listening to gather knowledge, speaking to impress upon people for multifarious functions, reading to enrich your vocabulary, and knowledge to use the knowledge for academic and professional purpose, and ultimately to see your enhanced writability. As the knowledge community, we are all stakeholders and providers of knowledge. We are building our country into a strong knowledge country economy. This workshop is step towards our goal of building a strong nation in terms of wealth and knowledge. I request all the participants to benefit from this e-workshop, which will be available in the University YouTube in all the times. So I request everyone to you can utilize this today's program facility. I would like to congratulate all the faculties of our English department, from the senior professors, deans, and head of the department, and other faculty members, and those who are involving this program to great success. Particularly, I wish to appreciate Chandrashena Madam is guiding to all the faculty members to conduct this program great success, and Dr. Gashini, who is the organizer of this program, and also Miss Akshaya and her team of tech survey assistant professor of the department. I wish the entire faculty of the Department of English for coordinating this event from the concept of exclusion and working as a team for its success. I wish for many such programs in the future for the benefit of students. Thank you. Best of luck. All the best.
Thank you, sir, for an elegant and motivating address. It is now time to introduce our eminent resource person of the day, Mr. Arindam Sengupta, and we have Mrs. Vishwapriya, Assistant Professor, Department of English, who will take up this lovely task of introducing him to us. To you now, Vishwa ma'am.
To all. To be Good afternoon to all. To be inspired is great, but to be an inspiration is an honor. I feel extremely privileged and honored to be given this opportunity to welcome you, sir. Arindam is a teacher trainer of ESL under the Directorate of School Education, Government of West Bengal since April 2000. He has been a practicing teacher trainer and materials developer of the West Bengal Board of Primary Education from 2003 to 2011, trained by Dr. Raymond George Mackay of the University of Edinburgh, UK. Presently, he also works as an ELT resource person for Oxford University Press, India and other corporates. He has been a member of the State English Textbook Writing Committee of the British Council Project English, also member of the Board of Studies West Bengal Council of Higher Secondary Education, alumnus of the Texas Intensive English Program in Austin, Texas, and the nodal officer of the Education to Employability project run by the Rashtriya Madhyamik Shiksha Abhijan in collaboration with the Vikram Sheila Educational Resource Society. He has also been the coordinator of various English language teaching training workshops throughout the state. Apart from this, he has consulted on course books at the state level and on developing resources and supplementary materials for use in classrooms for young learners and teens. He has a passion for striving towards continuing professional development by updating his teaching skills through e-courses from the University of Oregon and Maryland offered by RELO New Delhi and conducting workshops on ESL and delivering talks in conferences and seminars on ELT, both nationally and internationally. He also presented at the 49th TESOL International Convention in Toronto, Canada in 2015. Arindam loves interacting with people and form a network which could help in sustainable growth and development in English language teaching and training in India. He loves photography, reading and listening to country music. May you bloom into a beautiful butterfly from cocoon of hardships and struggles passing in the way. We pray the Lord Almighty to bless you with great success and wish you good luck in all your future endeavors, sir. I once again welcome you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. It was really an impressive profile. So, we are immensely grateful to you as despite your busy schedule, you agreed to spend time with us today as a resource person. We are absolutely sure that all the participants connected here will benefit largely from your resourceful, need of the hour, and highly intellectual topic. I now warmly invite you to the studio to enlighten the audience on Speak to Create Your Future. To you now, sir.
Okay, thank you everyone for this wonderful introduction. And I'm really honored and privileged to be presenting this talk on behalf of Dr.MGR Institute of English. And today's topic, as it is, that is speaking to create your future. We all know that mastering the art of speaking is something which is very important in today's world. And we are all really struggling how to make this whole thing become easier for us. So let me start the presentation? So can anyone tell me just whether it's visible to all? Yes, is the screen visible? Hello?
Yes, sir. Your
Okay, okay.
PPT is visible, sir.
Okay, thank you, thank you. Okay, so let me introduce the topic. That is, we are here for the national seminar. The topic which has been really highlighted is the importance and the necessity of speaking in English to create one's future. So we all agree that mastering the art of speaking is the single most important aspect of learning a second or foreign language. And I've been a teacher trainer for more than 20 years now. And in this talk, I'm going to just share some thoughts, some concepts, some insights that have come to me throughout this whole period of training teachers, training professionals, training students, and what I have gathered really about speaking as a skill and how it can be inculcated among the students of today. So, in this talk, basically, I'm going to focus on the importance of speaking as a skill, and I'm going to discuss something of the challenges that the ESL students face in developing communicative ability in the classroom. That is the struggle that we all know, we all face as teachers and trainers. That is how to make our students fluent. I'm also going to highlight something about the importance of talk in the ESL classroom and provide some activities or strategies which can help students develop oral skills. So, I normally, when I start a workshop or when I do a seminar, I always start with an icebreaker. So, I know all of you are already aware of an ice breaking activity. So, if this had been a face to face workshop, so I would have started with this activity. So let us presume that we are in a face to face workshop in today's digital world itself, because we are all connected by the internet. So you have 2 minutes to talk about yourself. So, what would you say? What would be something very essential that others should know about you? And this would be the topic, that this would be the task rather, which I would give my participants who would be in my lecture or in my workshop. And for this, I would have given the preparation time for 1 minute. Now, I know that I cannot wait for the responses to come. You can definitely write in the chat. But this is one of the very difficult topics which I found students and professionals face when suddenly you are asked to talk something about yourself, and then you start fumbling. Yes, you start thinking, what are the things I need to say and what are the things I do not need to say, I need to delete or I need to add. So this becomes such a very simple question as talking something about yourself, telling the world something about yourself, selling your wares rather. It becomes essentially very difficult for everyone. So this question, this basic plain question, might become a very important and a very crucial question. Though it seems very easy on the outset, it seems terribly difficult when you put it into practice. So this again boils down to the topic that how important speaking skills are and what students need to do in order to get fluent. So this is just as an example. So if suppose you were asked to say something about myself, so let me just backtrack a little bit and tell all of the participants here something about myself. So I'm just going to put four simple questions to all of you here, which you can definitely answer in the chat, because I'd not be able to see what you're writing, but definitely I can go back and see. So four basic questions I'm going to ask, which you can definitely know something about myself, something very crucial information that I would like to deliver my participants here, so that they get to know the profile of the speaker or my whole background. So the first question that I might ask you is just to guess, what was my personality like when I was in middle or senior school? So I give you three options here. So it is up to you to just guess which one should be going with my personality. When I was long back, I was a school student. So I was very talkative and sociable. I was very shy and introverted. And I was very organized and methodical. So I really wanted to pause here to get your answers, so that would give me a feel that I'm really in a setup where I can really speak with my participants, really have an interactive session. But that is not possible, but it's just for you to guess. Well, let me get you the answer. It is B. I was terribly shy and introverted. So now today I'm here to give you a talk on speaking skills. But I myself in school, I really shied myself away from speaking in English and speaking in front of the teacher. Okay. The next question: what was my greatest fear when I was a young adult? So, when I was in college after my school, again, this second question will give you some insight into my personality. Again, three choices: failure in academics, speaking in public, or an injection phobia. Yes. So, what was my greatest fear when I was a young adult? Yes, if people guessed the B one, it is true, because it is somewhat linked to the first one, the first question. I was terribly shy. So it is again the speaking in public. So I really shied away. I really gave me the jitters to really get up on stage and speak something which the teacher asked, or in front of others. And even when there was the prize distribution ceremony, to get up on stage and receive the certificate, that only itself made my legs go numb. Okay. So the third question, before I go to the third question, I wish to say yes, this is something very crazy which I found on the internet. That is, to the average person, if you ask that what is your greatest fear, this is the statistics in the world which we see here on the slide, that people are more feared about death than about public speaking. So they are more afeared of public speaking, rather even they even wish to die rather than go and address the audience. So this is a very common quotation of Jerry Seinfeld, who says that to the average person, if you go to a funeral, you are better off in the casket than doing the eulogy. So this I found something very crazy, something really which made me have no idea. That is, why are people so afeared? So I backtracked into my whole story, or when I was growing up as a child. So I really found that this was true. Even if you ask me now, it's better to die. It's better to just take yourself away from the society rather than face an audience. So this is something that normal people, if you get even, I say, 95% of people would fear to speak in front of a whole gathering. So this is the top 10 fears list from the fear of public speaking forecasted in America. So in America, if you have people fearing public speaking when they are in an English speaking country, you can imagine what the situation or the state it is in India, or in a country where English is only a second language. The third question about myself that I wish to ask all of you: have I visited or stayed in an English speaking country? Which from my profile it is evident. Yes, I've been to America and Canada, and I've stayed there for some period of time. And that really helped me also to get some idea about this whole speaking business, because it's a very thriving business about English teaching and training, which is going around in the whole world, and it's really growing in business day by day. So I was in the US and Canada, which is the English speaking country. Here in the map, we can see that there are very few countries who speak English as a mother tongue or as a native tongue. But most of the world, it is not English, but still English rules. And the fourth question that I'd ask about myself is to guess, what resources did I use when I was studying English in school? So, what were the resources? So, I studied back in the 80s and the 90s. So, what resources did I have when I was growing up and I was really getting my English exposure to the world, so that I later on I became an English teacher and trainer? So, well, you are right. I had the class teacher or the English teacher. I had books to fall upon. I had the classroom, which gave me the necessary input, the necessary interactive area where I could have really get some idea about what English speaking is. And during my time, we had these audio cassettes and the tape recorder by which I listened to English songs. And we had the black and white television that sometimes used to show English movies, and the cartoon serials or whatever. They were very few in number in those days. So this was my world. Now, what about our students? Can you guess? So our students also, they have the teacher. So the teacher is indispensable. We are there for them. But what about the resources that our students have? So if we just start to list, it is going to be endless. So here we have a plethora of resources that our students today, they have in order to learn any language, any subject under the sun. So what do you think? How different it is for us when we were growing up as a professional, as a successful student, when we were in school, we were in college and the university, and now after a gap of 20 or 30 years, what is the student's world? That is when we are in the classrooms of today, when we are teaching our students. So how different it is. The resources we had and the resources our students have access to today, it is a world exactly of a huge difference. But the question which boils down to the fact is, are our students actually equipped to deal with all these challenges of the fast changing world of today? So, what skills do our students need to participate effectively in today's world? So, what are the skills necessary for them to really make use of all these resources at their fingertips? So, that is again something that really comes to my mind, or it's a very challenging thing for us to really answer or really dwell upon it. So, we all know that English is a key for future success. And that is what we have the topic today. That is, English speaking in English is to create a very definite, a very solid, a very strong future. So, we all know that English serves as a fundamental gateway to new learnings. So, we all agree. So, you need English skills in order to really reach out to the world, in order to sell yourself to the world, in order to get the whole world at your fingertips. So, English opens up a world to more possibilities and opportunities. So, if you need to grow, if you need to branch out, you need English. So, that is the only skill you have, and that is the only skill that can take you places. So it is again the tool for employability, and it is the most sought after in the corporate world. So if you wish to really scale yourself up higher in the corporate world, you need English skills and what we call the 21st century skills, what we call the life skills, or what we call the most important skills for employability. English also helps us forge more solid connections in our professional arena, the language which really connects people by default. So, we are connected in today's world only through this medium of English language, which really makes us interconnected, which really brings us all together, by which we learn, by which we relearn, and by which we unlearn. So, we need people, we need connections. So, who can really bring this to our doorstep? It is none other but English skills. So, English skills, having good English speaking skills and having good presentation skills, it really creates a very positive first impression. So, if you wish to create a very strong impression on people, you need to have a very good English skill. That is, you need to be a very good speaker, especially a very good speaker before you become a very good reader or a writer. And employers today, they want to employ people who are good presenters, negotiators, and convener of meetings. So if you look at the employability criteria of different companies, the directors and all the CEOs or all the people who are there at the top, they are employing people who have very good English spoken skills, because you have to do presentations, you have to negotiate in meetings, and you have to convey meetings, you have to convey various business policies. And unless and until you have a very smooth flowing English in you, you can never be able to do all these things, because these are crucial for you to really scale up the ladder. And English, last but not the least, it helps in furthering the essential life skills which are very important in today's world of the 21st century, which are empathy, adaptability, and flexibility. So these soft skills, they become more important than the hard skills that you carry in your certificate when you pass out from the university. So the hard skills really are not going to fetch you the job. So it is the soft skill, it is basically the English spoken capability or the communicative ability, which is going to give you a good job. So you need to assure yourself, you need to stand on solid ground that yes, you can do it. yes, I can negotiate, I can create a very good positive impression on people, I can interact, and I can definitely make connections, because that is going to really make you stand on a very firm foundation in your company or in your business profession, whatever you do today. Now, why do people find English so difficult? So, when I go to workshops, when I go to seminars, I just simply ask my students, my participants, that why do you feel so afeared of English? So, what are the reasons? People just seem to just go cold when the thing about English comes, especially English speaking. So I just tried to collate what are the reasons that people find that they develop a distaste towards the language, or they feel that it is something very difficult, a very hard nut to crack. What are the main possible reasons? So the first reason, what I found, that most people told me that, sir, I only learned English till high school. So like people say that, okay, I just opted science, I took commerce, I went to law, so I did not have English as a subject to study after my high school. So this is one reason people say. The other reason people give is I only studied English in state schools, that the government schools. So people have an idea that government schools, if you study, you don't get a very good English flair or an English atmosphere or an English environment. You need to go to private schools. And some people say that, sir, I started late in life. So this whole process of learning English speaking, I started much late. So I ought to have started it much earlier, so that I could have developed my spoken skills much better. Then people also have a fixed mindset, what I feel, that is, they feel English is too difficult, English cannot be cracked, or I need to go back, I need to backtrack myself to my school days, so I need to start afresh from a scratch. So people find, what I call this is a fixed mindset. So if you don't have a growth mindset, that is, okay, I can do it, because nowadays nothing is impossible. If you put in the right effort, if you try your level best, you can definitely make a lot of improvements. So many people have this kind of a fixed mindset, they know it's not possible, which I tell people that this is very wrong. And again, most people, most elders, what I find, that they are the propounders of this, what we call the linguistic imperialism. Now, linguistic imperialism is nothing but the imposition of one language over speakers of other languages, because in India we have so many languages here to speak. Every state has got its own unique language, and in our time the global expansion of English is often seen that it is the primary example of linguistic imperialism. So the British has really forced upon us the language that we have to deal with in business or in all our work that we are doing. So we are literally scared, or we are literally frustrated, we are even angered, that why should English always be the only medium of communication? So these people, I call that they are the propounders of the linguistic imperialism, in what they feel that this is one of the factors which is creating a problem in gathering English skills. And some people say it is for the elite, that is only for the higher classes of society, because I can't really make myself really very conversant in English. I don't have the right people to talk to, and my parents are unable to give me that kind of a language bath which the native speakers give. And it is very expensive, because going to a private school or studying English with a trainer, for example, or going to an English spoken institute, and it is fancy. So it's only the people who have a lot of things to really drool on, that they have a lot of money to squander, they really go for English skills. But what I find is, apart from all these difficulties which they really enumerate, I find that basically everyone, so it's from everyone all around the globe, learners, they still want to get better in English. So they all want to speak in English, they all want to engage in conversation. Everyone wants to talk about various things in English, very common day to day things, common day to day activities, and each and every one of us aspire to be fluent. So we are literally having a love and hate kind of a relationship with English. We know that English is indispensable, but we still don't know which way we should approach it and how we can really go about it. So why the prominence of the English language so much? Why is it so very important? Why do we need the English language? So, according to Timothy J. Scrace, English is not only important in getting a better job, it is everywhere in social interaction. And if you can't speak it, then you are a nobody. So, though you have a lot of degrees, though you have a lot of accomplishments to really showcase to the world, though you have a lot of things to really strut your feathers about, you need English, because English is an international language and you feel humiliated if you can't speak. And people think you are dumb. So, this is really very terrible. This is really very shocking, but sad, but true. So, what happens? You feel that you are stuck in a career rut, isn't it? You feel you are at a loss as because you don't know what to do, and you feel unappreciated, you feel unmotivated, you feel unhappy. That is, I can't speak in English. There's nobody to really teach me how I can go about it. So you understand that you need to talk, but you are not sure of the steps that you need to take. So where exactly should you start? How do you start? So, three words which are very important in this scenario, that is, when you are so much confused, you're baffled, you are totally worried, you're puzzled literally. So, three words are important. That is, you have to reflect, you have to plan, and you have to act. So, first of all, what I, as a experienced trainer of English speaking skills, what I feel is you need to consider the learning experience that you have grown up with. So you can't compare yourself to others. So don't compare. So just first reflect on the learning experience you had, and then you start to think, that is, how can you apply your learning, that is, whatever you have, how can you apply them to meet your own objectives now at the present moment? And how do we, or how can we strike a balance between all the existing skills that we have and the new skills that we want us to develop? So we need to question ourselves. So it is basically, you have to reflect, you have to plan, and you have to act. So rather than getting confused, and rather than becoming very depressed or heartbroken about English, because that is what I see the students facing, or having such a kind of a mindset, I ask them first to reflect, then plan, and then act. So, certain questions that we need to ponder on as teachers, because I always look upon this premise or this problem from the viewpoint of a teacher, because I am the person who is going to really guide my students on the track or on the path to become fluent speakers. So, the basic questions that we need to ponder as teacher trainers are the pupils really motivated to speak in our setting? That is, in the country that we are living, in the state or in the city or whatever institute we are really working in. Are the pupils motivated? Do we really motivate our speakers to speak in English? And do they get the necessary exposure to English or the oral language? Are the teachers speaking? Are the students speaking? Do they get to hear English in the surroundings, English in social interaction? And do they have the chance to practice these skills for a reasonable amount of time? So, English is nothing magic. So, you need to practice, you need to use the language. So, do these students have this in their setting? Do they get this whole kind of a freedom to do it? So, what are the specific needs that needs to be addressed concerning English lessons that we teach in class? So, the specific needs of each student, we need to hear, we need to keep in mind, we need to reflect, and which resources we need to ask ourselves as well, that did we use when we were studying English in school and college? So that is something the world has changed. That is why in the beginning of my presentation, I had given that example of where I was when I was a student and a learner, and where I am now as a trainer. So, how do we ensure that all English learners have opportunities to productively use oral language in academic settings? So, we need to ensure, we need to make it very 100%, we need to make it very much sure of the fact that our English students, our learners, they have opportunities. So, many of times I feel that in spite of giving the necessary exposure and the practice, the students are not getting the opportunities to really exercise their skills. So, do they have this kind of an environment or the opportunity where they can really use productively the language? and what are the factors that influence students' fluency to speak English. Now, here I wish to just share the quote of Stivik here from Teaching Languages in his book, which is Epoch Making, which I feel that this is very important for us as trainers and teachers to know. Stivik said that success in language learning depends less on materials, techniques, and linguistic analysis, and more on what goes on inside and between the people in the classroom. So it all depends on the manner and the methodology that teachers adopt in teaching in today's classrooms. So it is not more that we have to depend on very high flown materials or techniques, but what goes on inside the classroom. That is the interactive methodology that needs to be employed, that needs to be put into practice. That is more important. So, what goes on inside people also refers to the individual factors such as self esteem, anxiety, inhibition, willingness to take risks, learning styles, self efficacy, and motivation. So, along with what goes inside the classroom between the teacher and the students, is also what goes inside the student. So, we have to think of the external as well as the internal factors. So, what goes on between people, the relational aspects, has to do about with classroom transactions, where an attitude of facilitation and a concern with group dynamics are extremely important. Now, this quote is especially important because I realize we can definitely relate to what is going on in our settings, which draws me to the effective filter hypothesis of Stephen Krashen. Now, effective filter is a concept that connects our ability of learning something with factors and the environment of learning, with certain external factors and the environment of learning. And if our effective filters are up, suppose the stress and the pressure to perform, the limiting beliefs that we have. So, if the effective filter is up, then it is definitely going to hinder learning. So, if we do not have an environment where the student feels very comfortable, they feel very relaxed, where they can connect with the teacher and the subject, then it is going to be literally very difficult. So, the effective filter needs to be down. So, low effective filter input becomes easier, and therefore, for a low effective filter to happen, you need to be staying very calm, happy, and relaxed. So, what I find that the students at the initial start, when they come to a language class, they're terribly petrified. They are in jitters. So, we need to make them feel at home. We need to give them the idea that this is nothing that you cannot do, but you will just need some time. So, the high effective filter, I will definitely say that all depends on the teacher and the method that he is imparting lessons in the classroom. Where the effective filter starts getting high for the student, the input starts to get blocked, and it happens when you are stressed out. So we need to feel de-stressed, we need to feel calm, we need to be very comfortable when we are doing something in English, and that is only going to make us really feel better to learn. Now, English speaking is basically as simple as like riding a bike. Now, this is also a very common thing. I found many teachers give me this example, and I literally found it is exactly so. So, how is English learning or English speaking like a bike? So, all of you, most of us, they know how to ride a bike. So, what happens when we learned how to ride a bicycle? So, we had someone whom we trusted and who guided us, and we had a prior orientation of what to do, and we had a lot of practice. So once you learn to ride a bike, you never forget it. And the same happens with English. So it's a skill that you will always have. So once you learn a bike, you are not going to forget. And you don't learn a bike by studying the rules, is it? So you learn to bike, learn to bicycle simply by doing. So the same principle applies here. So you learn how to balance the wheels. You learn how to paddle when you are starting how to learn a bike. You learn how to move the handle. You learn how to stop by applying the brakes. So all this happens by doing. So you don't see improvements overnight. So you have to really be you have to apply your skills like what you did when you were starting to learn a bicycle. The same applies for English speaking. So this draws me to the difference between implicit knowledge and explicit knowledge. So, what is implicit knowledge? Implicit knowledge is what you can use automatically. So you don't need to fall upon books. So without conscious attention, so that when you learn to ride a bicycle, you start learning, or when you start applying your skills to riding a bicycle, you don't think about how to move your legs. So it comes naturally to you. So it is why you can't speak, because your native language, you are always thinking about the native tongue. So that is always coming in between whenever we are speaking English language. So it's not coming naturally. So explicit knowledge, what happens is what requires a slow and very conscious effort, like what we do in order to speak, in order to uh, make our students learn a second language. So only this explicit knowledge is only useful when you are doing a task, when you are at the examination hall, when you are writing a paper in English. So this type of knowledge, where you can really score high in a written paper, it is coming to useless when you are giving a spoken skills test or an oral test. So one becomes truly fluent only by using English. So the same principle applies, that English learning, that is English speaking, is like riding a bike. So this is what, that is, everyone in our setting, they have the right skills of all the hard skills. They're very good students. They have high flown marks in English language and literature. But what they are encountering when they are looking for jobs or in the competitive market, it is they are confronted with what I call the fluency gap. So, what is fluency? Fluency is the ability to carry out a conversation in English effortlessly. So, when you can effortlessly start a conversation and you can carry on conversing with somebody, and that is what you call fluency. So, this is basically what you need to acquire. This is just like riding a bicycle. So, once you start doing, you can develop this kind of a feeling that you will no longer start to pause and hesitate when you are speaking English, and you will be accurate more. You will start becoming accurate, and things and words will start to come into your mind automatically. And fluency is going to be your freedom from all the problems that are hindering speaking skills in you now at this moment. So the ability of English is measured by one's oral skills, that is fluency, and your skills in communication. So building and sharing meaning through the use of verbal and non-verbal symbols in a variety of contexts is what we call fluency. So, what are the main characteristics of being very well spoken? So, how can you really be very well spoken, or how can you consider yourself that you are a very well spoken person? So, you need to create well formed sentences, you have to be articulate, and you have to have a large and diverse vocabulary, because vocabulary is a great problem for students, because they just can't get the right words when certain topic comes to their mind. So they feel that I don't have the right words, I'm falling short of words. And speaking clearly, so you have to speak very clearly with your open mouth, so you cannot just go on mumbling. So mumbling is again a problem, or which is very apparent that you are not fluent. And having a good pace, tone, so you neither are too fast, neither are too slow, so you carry on with the same space. I hope I'm not very fast, because I always have to keep in mind of the time, so I need to end the presentation before the time. And you have to be very well aware of the tone and the intonation, because when you are speaking in different contexts, these are the things that you need to keep in mind. And being fluent means words will come naturally to you, like the leaves of a tree. They are natural, they come to the branches naturally. So words will come easily unto you, and you would be able to explain things easily. So, how's the weather today? How's the room like? So, how do you feel today? So, you just don't need to think about what you are going to say. So, that is basically the problem with speaking skills in English. And you have to be really straightforward, meaning what you say. So you just don't make a roundabout story about what you, oh, well, actually. So you just don't use these sentence fillers, and you have to be thoughtful and courteous to the needs of the listener. So being fluent or being a very good speaker will entail all these criterias. Now, what is the problem that is fluency becomes such a difficult nut to crack for our second language learners? So we are all non-native speakers. Even I am not a native speaker. I also studied English as second language, though I studied in English in a private school where English was the first language, but it is always not my home language. So how do native speakers, non-native speakers, how do they learn English? So we need to really reflect on this. Our lessons, they tend to focus more on learning advanced grammar, because what I see in all boards, in all schools, especially the state boards, they rely more on teaching students advanced grammar rules. And the students, when they go out from school, or they when they just go out from the university, they have a very small vocabulary, and but they have a very big concern for grammar. So they don't have words in their stock, but they have a high flown idea about grammar. They know all the grammar rules, and if you give them a grammar test, I bet that they are going to get 100 out of 100. And but the basic problem when they start to speak is they fail to rely on simple grammar, and they fail to understand that a large vocabulary is needed in order to communicate quickly and effectively. And the non-native speakers like us, they're not frequently exposed to English usage. So in normal day-to-day life, we don't have to speak English with our neighbors, with our family members, with our friends. So we always use our mother tongue. So where do we speak? Where do we use the language? And we are also unable to understand that the natural method, the way we learnt our mother tongue, is the best and the only alternative method where you can really brush up your skills. So that is the most effective. That is the way you learnt your mother tongue, is the only way how you can really become a fluent speaker. And we also make the mistake of spending all our time on passive activities, like people go reading, they practice reading books, they buy a huge amount of books in order to learn speaking, and they go on doing exercises on vocabulary because they feel that if you learn new words, then it's going to add to your stock. But they're not using the word in the context. They're not getting a situation where they can use the words. And also, they're doing bogus comprehension exercises. Now, all these would come of help when you are writing an English test, but not in speaking. So this is what I find that this is the dichotomy. This is crazy what we are doing in our society, the method we are imparting English to students, and that is what is happening, that the students, they are unable to speak. So here, I wish to highlight on the importance of talk naturally or generally as a medium that we can give our students exposure to English in our classrooms. Now, talk is pivotal to learning. So, why is it so important? The quality of talk in English is very important because it has to be very intellectually engaging. So the teacher has to engage the student in his talk, and that quality of talk will have a profound impact on the quality of learning. So once the students engage with themselves and with the teacher, then what is happening? They are going to be in the process of talk. So talk that is going to be generally dialogic, that is a genuine exchange has to occur between the teacher and the student versus student, where the teacher can ask authentic questions, not just questions that they already know the answer to. So the talk that is going to enable pupils to really explore, to question, to challenge, to pursue ideas, and to engage themselves at a level of depth that is quite substantive. Now, this talk doesn't occur in isolation. So if I say that, okay, practice talk, now this is not going to happen in isolation. You need a partner, you need a person with whom you can talk. So we need the teacher to support primarily the students or the pupils to learn how to talk. We need to support them to extend beyond each time what they are able to do. And students will start growing into that space. So once we bring them to this kind of an arena where there's talk and interaction going on, students will start developing their whole process. So they start to participate quite actively and with a lot of engagement. So we need to make our lessons very proactive. So initially, the talk could be structured, because when you start the process, so this is what I tell the trainers and the teachers, that you can start a very structured talk, which you have to make it highly scaffolded with a lot of uh, ideas, lot of supports are needed. So teacher is to model the sentences, and the pupils should be encouraged to repeat them basically, and the questions which the teacher asks, it has to be open ended. So gradually, as the pupils get more time to use the language, they can make more meaning out of something, and then the language, they will be able to understand how the language is starting to grow in them, and they learn to talk. So we need to focus much more on talk rather than on literacy and all these theories about reading and writing, because speaking is of utmost importance, which needs to be emphasized in our context. Now, in this context, even I find that Richards is very important as a linguistic, and he talks about three kinds of talk in the classroom: talk as interaction, talk as transaction, and talk as performance. Now, talk as interaction is when we meet people, when we meet and greet people, we engage in small talk, we recount our experiences, how it was yesterday, how was my life previously. And talk as transaction is when you focus meaning delivered, or when you deliver a message. So, teachers teaching pupils is interaction, transaction. And it is talk is a performance when you are giving a lecture, when you are giving a public talk, when you are transmitting information, when you are giving classroom presentations, or when I'm giving a speech on a particular topic. So Jack Richards really give us an idea of the three kinds of talking activities that we can do as teachers in our classrooms. So we now come to the basic question again, that is, how can we help our pupils develop their oral skills? Because that is what is most important. So the language class, as I said, I put more emphasis on the necessity of talk. A language class has to be naturally communicative. So the teacher has to build in communicative exercises, communicative activities in the midst of his or her lesson, where the students are getting enough exposure to talk. And we can also we can also make it very clear that students would need a lot of oral production classes with individual feedback. That is, the teachers can say, that is, this is where you are falling short. So a certain sort of individual feedback is also necessary for the students. And the activities which the teachers frame in the classroom, they need to be presented in a situation or a context, and they should have a real life communicative purpose. And teachers should avoid translation, because the more we ask students to rely on translation, because the structures of English and our native languages are different, they can never do it. You can never teach somebody to speak, or never make somebody a fluent speaker through transaction. And it is important also to take into account that what students actually want to say and present language which is meaningful to them. So if it doesn't make any sense to students, they won't learn. So they need to understand the purpose of speaking or whatever activities they are doing. So oracy is a very important term which was first invented by Andrew Wilkinson in the late 1960s, which is the most important part of teaching speaking skills to students, which is the most important thing, that is the ability to use oral skills of speaking and listening. So in order to speak, you need to also to be a very good listener. So learning through talk and learning to talk are both facets of the same coin. So the teacher, when the teacher is giving a talk in the classroom, the students are learning through the talk. And when they are interacting with their fellow mates, with the teacher, they are learning to talk. So education happens only through this two-way effective use of talk between the teacher and the student in the classroom. So how can we teachers give the support to our students? So this is a basic structure of a framework for oral production, which I'm just giving as an example. So we need to make the students aware of the purpose of the interaction that they are supposed to do in the class. We also need to give them ideas upon which they are going to elaborate. We need also to give them certain support how they are going to organize these ideas into their thoughts, and the types of sentences that the students should produce in order to communicate. And they also need to glance upon the words that they are going to use. And last but not the least, certain focus needs to be given on the pronunciation of carefully selected elements in their speech. So, this framework, if we use with our students, it is definitely going to help them to a lot of extent in order to develop their speaking skills. I give you an example, as I said, some strategies or some classroom activities. So, this is a small talk starters by which we can make our students speak in English. This is an exercise. So, we can give some starters to students like, have you ever, have you dash before? How do you like? So, it can be any topic. So, if you have this kind of a template, if we use such kind of a small talk starter template, it is going to be of real help, because I, as a trainer, I always use this for teaching talk or teaching to interact in the English classroom. So, how is, how was? So, basically, WH words, if you just give them this structure and if you give them a topic, so they can really negotiate, they can really use language for a particular purpose in their day to day life. So, are you going to? Do you dot dot? Is it dot dot? Do you think dot dot? Do you find? So, they are asked to give their own responses, own feelings, own thoughts. So they need to really participate. It's nothing that they are only blabbering out thoughts which are not theirs. So they have to take a very personal initiative in the exercise. Now here I just wish to also to give you certain examples of Jeremy Harmer's different activities which he has spoken in his 2007 book about what different sorts of activities we can use in order to influence the student speaking. We can do information gap activities. Now, I don't have much time to really go into detail about all these activities, which I'm sure most of you know, but you can definitely Google and you can definitely find certain ideas. What are information gap? It is basically that is two students doing a particular work and one student has got certain information which the other doesn't have. So they need to ask each other in order to complete a task. Then there is storytelling. So we can ask students to tell stories about themselves, stories about their past. They can be asked to speak about their favorite objects. Then students can do role plays, because this is a wonderful exercise for really inculcating speaking. Describing things or persons. So this activity I normally do with my students of lower school. That is, I can just ask one friend to come to the front of the class and ask the other to describe his physical features. And students presentation, so we can ask students to prepare something on a particular topic by which they can present in the classroom. We can also initiate debates. Describing pictures can also be a wonderful activity. And picture differences, just giving them two pictures and asking them to relate how the two pictures are similar and how are they different. Things in common. So what are the things that I and for example my friend here Harshini, both of us share? So we can discuss things in common, and we can definitely come up with small problems, small issues that we are facing in this pandemic, during this pandemic world, and we can start discussing how we can solve a particular problem. So all these are very basic ideas of Jeremy Harmer, which are really very useful for ones who would learn how to speak and exercise the skill, and also discuss a topic, any topic that we provide. This is the third example of a cue card that I use for doing group discussion activities in my workshops. So this, what I ask my teachers and participants to use such cue cards, which come especially handy when you want to do a speaking task. What do you think? Why do you think that? So if the person answers, okay, this is my answer. So you give him a second question, what is the reason? So this is again paving the way towards critical thinking. So again you ask some agree or disagree kind of, okay, why do you agree with this, or why do you disagree with this? So you have to give reasons, so coming up with a definitive reason. So could you say something more about it? So extending your utterance. So somebody says something, so you ask them to extend, give more solid back foots. That is, why are you saying this? Why do you think this is the answer that should be? So what does a group think? So then you open up the discussion with other colleagues or other participants in the group. So these are certain ideas which I just gave you in this limited time. So at the end of the day, we need to ask ourselves that how articulate are we? So what are the basic things that we need to understand in order to become very articulate? So we need to organize our thoughts. We need to speak with confidence. We need to be more expressive. That is, we all this will come only through practice. And we have to be very conscious of the pace of speech and the tone of voice that we are using when we are asking something or when we are talking with somebody. And we have to minimize the use of the fillers, the ers and ums, because the more you use this, it is going to be become apparent that you are not a very fluent speaker. And the way you end sentences and the way you begin should be something very similar, because sometimes I find that students, they rehearse a speech and they come in the class to present a topic, but they don't know how to end. So the ending and the beginning should be as impressive as when you start your presentation. And you have to be very relaxed. You have to be stress free. You have to be less self conscious. So if I am too self conscious now, that is, so many people are listening to my talk throughout the country, I would start feeling that is nervous. I would start feeling, okay, if I go wrong, if I say something which is not appropriate, or if I just mispronounce some words. So you have to relax, because this is normal. Even the very fluent speakers, they also have a lot of errors in their speech. So don't worry about that. So don't try to be someone you're not, because here also I find that some of my students, they try to put on a different self. They just try to give an impression that they are of a super flown personality. So be yourself. So you have to rehearse your delivery. That is important, but you have to be your natural self, because that is more important at the end. And we need to organize more engaging team building activities in our classroom, so that students become more conversant and more proficient and more confident of their language skills. So the basic thing as teachers, what we need to do is we should maximize the learner potential. The potential is already there in our learners. We have to maximize that. And I have already given you certain thoughts how we can maximize learner potential. So the two basic things how we can do, again, just to give you a recap, that is, we have to build a classroom culture which values talk, and we have to create meaningful and authentic contexts for oracy. So if we really remember these two things, I think we can definitely create a lot of difference in our classroom and a lot of difference in our students' mind about getting more confident in speaking skills. So the last slide, I wish to tell all my participants that don't feel a fear that you don't know English or you are not a very fluent speaker. You are not alone. You are just one among millions and millions of children all across the globe. Because even in America, even in Canada, even in Australia, there are many people who are struggling with their English skills. So the best way to learn English is to practice it with others. And you need to make a whole lifestyle out of English, where you listen to music, you watch TV, you listen to podcasts, and you read in English every day, because you have to surround yourself with English. Then only you can really give a lot of uh, reading, listening, and speaking exposure to yourself, because nobody is going to bring it to you at your doorstep. You have to do all this process. You have to initiate all this process yourself. And the best way to learn is to start where you are at. So don't worry what has happened previously or what you did in your earlier stages of life when you were in school or when you were in college. So you have to start where you actually are, and you actually feel that, okay, this is my situation, this is my state, this is my condition. So you have to learn it in the process, and you have to get over the fear that is which surrounds us regarding English speaking, that is the fear of making mistakes. So that is, again, through mistakes only you can really brush yourself up, you can really make yourself better. And the more you practice speaking in a natural setting, the better you will get at it. So try to get more opportunities to speak with your friends, with your teachers, with a friend over the telephone, or to a friend with a friend on the street. So make it a point that you speak in English, you use the language in your real day-to-day life, and don't wait for opportunities to speak to come to you. Instead, find them. So don't wait for the right person. That is, okay, this is somebody whom I eulogize or whom I feel is the best speaker. Don't wait for him. Start using it from day one, from today itself, and you have to find that you really can do it. You have to find the best opportunity, the best person to speak with, and you have to take the onus of learning yourself. So, with these words, I end my presentation, and I hope I've been able to really throw some light, because this is really a very comprehensive topic, and we need to discuss many more things about speaking skills in general. But this is something that I felt that I should say at the outset of my talk, just to start the discussion, just to initiate the discussion and carry this on for further sessions. So, thank you very much for this patient listening, and I hope I could really do some justice to the topic.
So, thank you for such an insightful presentation. You are such a professional, and you proved it once again today. It is a privilege that we had you with us today, sir. The way you explained so beautifully on the aspects of speaking and the many ways to improve fluency of language skills, along with impressive ideas for future success, were way too informative and amazing. Not to forget the active filter hypothesis that you explained so brilliantly. I second your opinion. English speaking is like riding a bike, and it is
Yeah.
practice that makes a man perfect. Participants have clearly benefited from your session, and it is evident through the wonderful feedback that they have shared in the chat box. We wish
Okay.
you wholeheartedly, sir, to win more and more laurels in the years to come.
Thank you.
Thank you.
It is now time for question and answer session, and I request Assistant Professor Ms. R. Akshya, who is also the technical host of today's program, to take up this part. To you now, Ms. Akshya.
Thank you, Ashni ma'am. So, can you hear me, sir?
Yeah, yeah, I can hear you clearly. Yeah,
Yes. Okay. So, with your permission, shall we go for question and answer session?
yeah, sure. Yeah,
Yes. Also, you can see in the chat box. So,
yeah.
some questions. Uh, Sir, can you tell us what are the problems that you can see when it comes to the digital age and communication?
Yes. So basically, as I said in my talk, that is, we are not using the language in real life. So, what is happening in this digital age of communication and information overload, what we can say, that is, people are more becoming silent. They are more tied up to the gadgets they are using, the mobile phones and the internet. So, it's going to give us a lot of knowledge, theoretical knowledge, but we are not using it practically. So now during this 2 years, if we think that we are tied back in our homes, so we are not getting an opportunity to really present ourselves, have an interactive setup where we can speak with our friends, with our neighbors, with our teachers. So learning to communicate only happens through speech practice. So if I always tell my students, that is, though we are really dependent on the internet very much, but you have to use it in a real life, because then only speaking will come, speaking will develop, because speaking is something natural. There's no formula for it, that is, you can really develop your speaking skills overnight. So there's no formula, nobody can teach you how to speak, only you can do it yourself with the right practice. Yes, you need a guide, like what I said, when you start riding a bike, you need someone to guide you. So the guide is only the person who's going to give you the necessary scaffolds, but you have to take the whole responsibility yourself. You have to do it. You have to make a point that every day I'm going to practice speaking on a particular thing. So you can read aloud, you can do a presentation, you can talk, you can write messages, you can listen to authentic speeches on TED Talks, for example, podcasts. So this is where the information is going to really help us in this digital age, because when I was a student, we did not have so much of opportunities to listen to authentic English. So nowadays students are really blessed, because they have so many opportunities to hear authentic English listening and speaking exercises, which they can do from the comfort of their homes.
Yes, yes. The next question is how can we help foreign language learners overcome from their anxiety, speaking anxiety?
Yeah, so that is what I said, that is speaking anxiety, how to overcome them. Basically, it depends a lot on the person who is really guiding the student, because the teacher, I give the responsibility, because I consider this question from my own angle. When I go to my class to teach the students, I found that most of my students, they are afeared about speaking English. But I made it a point that even if you know single words, even if you can make a phrase out of it, just start using that. So even if it is a yes or and a no, just say that only, apart from remaining tongue tied. So bit by bit, students can start overcoming this fear, because once you start using single words or a group of words, then you can go to a sentence. So it is through practice. Again, it is a lot which depends on the teacher, how, what questions the teacher is giving. The teacher needs to give a lot of support to bring the effective filter down, so that the students feel that they are not stressed, they are not being laughed at, they are not being mocked at. Because this is something in our setting that we feel, that is, if somebody does an speaking error, others start to laugh. So we need to understand this fact that nobody is a very good speaker in our setting, because English is not our mother tongue. So why feel afeared about it? Why do we feel shy about it? So what I need to do is, I need to practice, I need to use it in authentic communication, so that they become natural to me, and I don't have to think in my mind in my own language and start translating before putting it in English words. So again, something depends upon the teacher, and a lot depends also on the learner itself. You have to understand, nowadays students are so intelligent. Yes.
Yes. The next question is, sir, what do you think are the best practices of speaking approach and strategies in adult ESL classes?
Yes, actually, there are quite a number of strategies for speaking. Like what I just showed in today's presentation, I gave you only just two ideas, that is, of certain templates. Now there are various such templates. There are many activities. Like if there was time, I could have really shown you certain activities, or if there was a workshop, like what I said, that when you do, you learn by doing. So again, that brings me to the point of riding a bike. That is, once you start doing, once you are inside an activity, you realize how the activity is going to benefit you. So for example, somebody has written here, so I wish to assess learners speaking skills for a survey. So I did with my students an exercise on survey. For example, I gave them some questions on a sheet of paper, and I asked them to interview their neighbor. So they, even persons whom they have never spoken to, so they went to somebody living in their neighborhood, and they put those questions to him and her. So they just wrote the answers. So that was an authentic speaking practice. So they needed to use those sentences in real life and get their responses, put them back, and the exercise gave them a very good exposure of how they can really use their speaking skills. So this is one strategy, that is interviewing or surveying, taking surveys. So there are many such activities which you can really Google up. Some very good activities are there, because now during this internet era, you can definitely get all activities, but you have to be very much careful, and you should know the exact words, how you can search for all these manifold resources on the net. But even there are very useful books available where they teach you, they give you examples how you can really brush up the speaking skills of people, or how you inculcate speaking. But the best method is by doing. So when the teacher does it in the class, when the trainer does it in a workshop, you get a first hand feel of what the activity is like, and how it really benefits you as a learner when you actively take part in it.
Yes. So one another question. So engineering students feel that they don't need English speaking skills. How to motivate them to take part in English speaking classes?
Okay, now in this question, to this question, I can very well, I don't have the statistics now. I don't, otherwise, I could have shared. That is, there was a very eye opening article which was published in the Hindu 3 years back, speaking about the engineering skills of people who are the pass outs of very reputed universities and training institutes in India. Now, most of the engineers, the people are finding to be unemployable, because they don't have the necessary English skills. And it is very surprising, and it is very something very demeaning also, because when the engineers, they are so skilled at their jobs, they don't have the appropriate skills to sell themselves or to really pronounce their skills to the world. And that is why most companies, very high flown companies, are feeling that most of the engineers are unemployable. So you have to bring these statistics in front of the engineers and make them understand that apart from the subject that you are so very skilled at, you also need to know how to speak, how to present, and how to effortlessly carry on a conversation. So once you give them the right statistics, the right data, because nowadays engineers are not working only in our setting, they're going abroad, they're working with projects with different foreign counterparts. So you would need the English skills. So the engineers, I'm sure they will understand that speaking skills are of utmost necessity, and it's high time that they become aware of it. So the earlier they become aware of this problem, the more better they can really make themselves better and really sharpen their skills. Yes.
Yes, and one more last question. And this is becoming a trend to fill in with unnecessary fillers because film stars do so. How do how to correct them?
This is becoming a trend to fill in with unnecessary fillers because film stars do so. So, what exactly does this question mean? Unnecessary fillers? You mean the fillers in the midst of your speech, like what I said? That is, you stop your speech and you put words like words of hesitation, words of confusion, like or well, I actually. So, how do you how to lessen this? So, this is becoming a trend to fill in with see we what we are seeing in films, normally we should not emulate that, because films, after all, they are, though they are reflecting the real life, but certain times what we find very interesting to see what our movie stars are doing, actually they should not be so much welcoming when we are doing it in real life. So suppose you sit at an exam interview panel or at a group discussion table and you start using these fillers to a great extent, obviously you're not going to get a very good mark in your interview. So you have to understand that there are certain situations, contexts differ, where these fillers could be acceptable. When you are in an informal talk, the fillers are acceptable when you are with your friends. But if when I'm, for example, I'm giving here a very formal presentation, if I go on using so much of fillers in my talk, it is going necessarily to create a very negative impression with my participants, and they are not going to take it wholeheartedly. They're not going to find it a very interesting topic to learn and topic to listen. So we do have to really understand the various contexts, the various situations where we are asked to speak, where we are supposed to speak, where we have to learn to speak, and how and where we can really brush ourselves, how and where we can really attune ourselves, how and where we can really change ourselves. Those things are very important. We need to be very sure of those circumstances and adjust accordingly.
So, so I think that's all. So thank you so much, sir, for answering all the questions very patiently, which was posted by the all by our participants. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Arindam Sengupta and Ms. Akshya. Special thanks to our resource person, Mr. Arindam, for patiently and efficiently answering all the questions posted by participants. It is now time to express our earnest gratitude to everyone who supported, guided, and extended their fullest cooperation towards the successful conduct of today's workshop. We have Mrs. Rebecca, Assistant Professor, Department of English, to propose the vote of thanks. To you now, Mrs. Rebecca.
The art of communication is the language of leadership, says James Hume. I'm very humbled and honored to deliver the closing remark in this distinguished gathering. On behalf of the Department of English, Faculty of Humanities and Science, Dr.MGR Educational and Research Institute, I extend my deep gratitude to our founder Chancellor, Dr. A.C. Shanmugam, and our Honorable President, Engineer ACS Arun Kumar for being our propelling mentors in reaching the pinnacle of knowledge. Our sincere gratitude to Dr. Gopalakrishnan, Provost, Dr. Geeta Lakshmi, Vice Chancellor, for their encouragement. I would like to thank Dr. C.B. Palanivelu, Registrar, for his constant support. I wish to place my sincere thanks to Dr. D.B. Jabaraj, Additional Registrar E&S, for his constantly motivating us in all our endeavors and felicitating our chief guest today. I thank Dr. L. Ramesh, Joint Registrar EPA, for his guidance. From the bottom of our hearts, we sincerely thank our chief guest, Mr. Arindam Sengupta, ESL teacher, trainer, Directorate of School Education, Government of West Bengal, alumnus of the Texas Intensive English Program, Austin, Texas, USA, global professional member of TESOL International, for enlightening us on the prominence of speaking the English language and using it to interact socially by continuous practice and exposure to the language to create one's own future. I extend my thanks to Dr. R. Pushkala, Dean, Department of English, Dr. Mary Thomas, Dean, English, Dr. M. Chandrasena Rajeshwaran, Head of the Department, English, Mrs. A. Julie Elizabeth, Deputy Head Academics, and Dr. V. Karpakavadibu, Deputy Head Admin, for their stewardship, vision, and commitment towards this program. My sincere thanks to the organizing team of this wonderful event for their immense effort towards conducting this workshop. Thanks to the program host, Dr. P. Harshini, Professor, Technical Host and Moderator, Ms. Akshaya, Assistant Professor, Dr. Meena Rani, Assistant Professor, for the vivid welcome address, and Ms. Vishwapriya, Assistant Professor, for presenting the guest's profile. Last but not the least, I thank all the faculty and students who joined us today and made this event successful with your valuable presence. Thank you once again.
Thank you, ma'am, for expressing it in a beautiful way. This spectacular moment, while we rejoice at the grand success of the national level e-workshop, we deem it an extreme privilege and honor to appreciate the eminent resource person, Mr. Arindam Sengupta, who has been the backbone behind its incredible success. And this we would like to do through an appreciation certificate from our esteemed university. I request Ms. Arakshia to display the appreciation certificate of our resource person through this virtual studio. Sir, it's available now. Sir, kindly accept our appreciation
Yeah,
certificate.
yeah, I do wholeheartedly accept it, and my heartfelt thanks to everyone on behalf of Dr. MGR Educational and Research Institute for really finding me an appropriate person to speak on behalf of the university and present in today's national webinar. A lot of thanks.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you, Ms. Akshia. Dear participants, for your kind information, the feedback and assessment form is now active in the YouTube chat box. You are requested to complete and submit the form before 6 p.m. today to instantly receive your certificates in your registered emails. Later, the form will be deactivated. It is our university's policy not to share the presentation slides to the participant, but we would like to delightfully inform that this video will be ever available in our YouTube channel. Participants can view at any moment from the comforts of their place, get benefited, and also share it with friends and colleagues. We have now come to the fag end of the program, and we are totally confident that all would have gained enough knowledge on the topic. With the satisfaction of presenting a good and resourceful webinar of international relevance, we wish to sign off and hope to meet you all in the next program. Keep supporting us as always, dear participants, and don't forget to submit your feedback form and also subscribe our YouTube channel, Department of English, Dr. MGR Educational and Research Institute, for further updates about our programs and videos. Stay safe and stay healthy. Thank you.
Dr.MGR Educational and Research Institute, University,